I would like to call the November 6th, 2025 Budget Committee meeting to order. The time is 7:04. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Panic dream the other night. I forgot how to say the pledge.
Well,
I was thinking about this meeting. And
having been raised Catholic, I still want to say amen at the end.
Close. Roll call. We'll start with you, Charlotte.
Charlotte Fife. Carol Martin.
Jill Eldridge.
Karen Quinn.
Jim Stevens.
Donna Danis.
Owen Fred Gray.
Barbara Kelly.
And just so I get this correct on Jeff Morrison, Lincoln Lavoie, are excused absences. And if Sue is unable to show up, she will also be excused. She had something else at the same time that was starting. She was hoping to get done and be able to come over after, but all depend on whatever time that other meeting she has going, whenever that starts. Public comment, open for public comment. Not seeing any. We'll move on to proposed town budgets, and we'll start with the library.
Hello.
Howdy.
Hi.
I'm Jen Phillips. I am the chair of the Blaisdell Memorial Library Trustees. Lillian Stevens, the interim library director. And we are here to, I'm supposed to discuss our budget requests. The biggest change you will see is a significant increase request on our maintenance line. For the past 2 years, we have thought that all of our issues are fixed. And each year we are surprised by new things, and I think this is just reflecting two main components. One is that we have two aging buildings. The front portion of the library is now 51 years old. The addition is now 26 years old, and costs are rising to fix things. So those two things together have presented us with some challenges over the past couple of years, and so that is the most significant cost increase or most significant budget increase request that we're making.
So can I?
Sure.
On library building maintenance, it doesn't show an increase. It shows the same amount as this year.
All right, you're probably looking at the town's
Okay.
library line. So this comes up every year, so I probably should have started with it. The town does some of our maintenance. They do mowing and plowing for us. So they have a maintenance line for the library. I don't know actually if some of the larger things like the HVAC stuff, does that get rolled into that?
It depends on what it is. If it's part of the annual maintenance, for like the HVAC maintenance contract that we have, then yes. If it's repairs to the system, then it would actually come out of the building maintenance expendable trust.
Okay, so libraries are kind of in a interesting liminal area. The trustees are actually responsible for the care and custody of the building and grounds. That varies for every single library across the state. Some libraries are part of their town halls. How do you divide that up? So essentially what we've done is we've pulled together an MOU. So we have a memorandum of understanding with the town that now lays out the different things that we're responsible for and the town is responsible for. Some stuff still kind of comes up that maybe we didn't think about. But generally speaking, we take care of anything that is a day-to-day maintenance item in the library. The town takes care of things that are systems failures, like our HVAC, like a roof, like the big stuff like that. So I probably got a little bit off course on that.
So it's
Ours-
this sheet is what you're.
Yes, our request is, we have two components of our budget. One is the salary line, one is the operating line. The maintenance that I'm talking about is part of that operating line.
The operating line is the,
56,
yeah, to 56.
56,540.
6,000.
So it's a $6,240 increase request.
Yeah.
And most of that is maintenance.
And is there anything specific you're predicting is going to fail in the next year?
I mean, if I had that kind of foresight, I would be able to, I would lay it out. Our surprises this year have been repairing rotting wood on the exterior of the building. We did replace that with the AZEK, yes.
It's good stuff.
So hopefully won't rot again. And then we had to, so last year, if you recall, we needed to replace the electrical to the well pump because that line had been fried. And during that process, they had to dig pretty close to one of the other arms of the concrete leading to the emergency ramp. That brought the concrete out of alignment, which was a trip hazard, so we had to bring in Erickson Foundation to polyjack that so that it was safe. And that was $2,500, and we had not really predicted that that was going to happen. So to answer your question, we keep a running punch list of everything that needs to be done. I don't know what's on it off the top of my head. We have electrical that needs to be dealt with.
The furnace, the second furnace.
Well, that's not
Yeah, not
included in this. We have dents in the walls, regular moving stuff around. Some painting. And then always the question of plumbing. Plumbing needs to be kept up to standards for a building that's open to the public. Another part of our maintenance line is the well water testing, which is that started last year, and that's now an ongoing cost that we now need to include every year.
Is that under that's
Yeah,
under
that's a
the
maintenance line. Mhm.
And is that
Oh,
because-
tree limb removal, yeah, we have a lot of exterior programming, so we need to make sure that, no trees fall on patrons.
So is there any carryover between what's on your list and anything that might be either handled through CIP or through the town? Or
So
is there a way to true that up?
Yeah, I was gonna ask about the CIP, and this is more for Ellen, I think, because in CIP for 2026, we had HVAC, which I know you were trying to price all together to get the best price. And then we had 78,700 for repaving the lot and upgrading the lighting. So I think to your question, are those covered in the town budget at all? Because
It's not in ours,
It's
those
not
things
yours,
are not
right.
in ours.
So the HVAC would be covered, those are potentially earmarked in the building maintenance expendable trust funds, the
Yep.
parking lot and the lighting upgrades.
Okay.
Tell ya, I was out in the parking lot tonight.
It's dark.
I couldn't see a
It's
thing.
scary.
It was
Yeah.
very scary, and
Yeah.
I don't remember that last year.
Well, I think that our Eversource light is having one of its fits, yeah.
It was just replaced 4 years ago.
Yeah.
I could not see a thing,
No.
and there's a full moon tonight.
Yeah.
It was
So-
on when I walked out, but as I was approaching my car,
It went off again, yeah.
Okay.
yeah,
See, this is, and we have no control over that light. It is not ours, and
It's Eversource's.
it's Eversource's, yeah. It's on the corner of the lot that is closest to 152. Stage Road. So it doesn't really throw enough light to light the whole lot. So it's, yeah,
That's a dangerous
It
spot.
felt
coming into that.
especially because the pavement is
yes.
all uneven, and I was having a hard time.
Yeah,
And I had my
had a
hands full, so I couldn't take out my,
I did
but-
put in caulk Eversource.
Oh,
the other
thank you.
day, and
Thank
it's
you.
more on the list.
Yeah.
So for the Warren article lighting, is that interior lighting or also
No, it's for
exterior?
it's for the parking lot.
Oh,
For the
yes.
parking lot
It is
paving and
specific
upgrading of the
paving
lighting.
and to get the lighting from the one Eversource that we have no control over to something that is lit by the library.
So I don't know if this would be helpful to anybody else, but from my perspective, what would be helpful is to have a copy of the MOU between the library and the town, just because that would help prevent us from having to ask these questions, I think, all of the time. So I don't know if anybody else agrees. If that would be
Yeah,
helpful.
that would be helpful, yeah.
that's a good idea.
That would be helpful, thank you. Any other questions on the proposed library budget?
So just again, to clarify, the maintenance that we're talking about is line 302 through 304 on your town budget, right?
Yeah, so, 302 is actually their salaries, 303 is the appropriation that's detailed on the sheet behind your budget worksheet that the library provided. And then, of course, the library telephone is just the cost.
So their maintenance is rolling up under.
Yeah, exactly.
So Jen, you're coming in just over the 4% increase.
Correct, 4.22.
If there was something on this budget that you would cut, what would you recommend cutting to get us below the 4%?
We did a pretty, I am a big believer that you don't hand padded budgets in. It just trains people to want to cut. So we've asked for what we need. Anything that is cut from this budget, the only discretionary line that we have are materials. That's the books and things like that we buy throughout the year. And incidentally, about a quarter of that is not discretionary because it is a fee that is assessed to us for New Hampshire downloadable books. So of our materials line, about 25% of the 17K is an automatic fee that we pay to the state. We don't have any control over that. The rest of it, if we got our maintenance line cut and ended up with maintenance problems, it would come from the book line. We would have to spend book money on maintaining the building. That's what we have to do.
But since it's just kind of like it's like an 85% increase for maintenance, and it's kind of like a fuzzy, undefined list, would that not be kind of like
I mean,
the area to look at?
that's why you get paid the big bucks.
It's a,
I would have to agree.
Now.
with you.
yeah, I agree
That
with
would
that.
make sense,
It's a-
absolutely.
It's a
I
break
mean-
fix line. And then
If,
is there opportunity if other things arise at all? And I'm just asking this generally, could that come out, are there other funds set aside in CIP for like reactive?
Well, CIP doesn't have
No.
It's
funds.
capital.
See,
It
it's like
sets aside
it's a
the
planning
interest.
snapshot of
Yeah.
expenses,
Yeah,
potential.
that's right.
I mean, you know, honestly, for the past couple of years, we have said, we're sure that all of our maintenance issues have been addressed and have budgeted for the prior year, you know, we've level funded it. And each year we've had to dip in to our materials line in order to cover that,
But for
or
the,
our fee line.
the mathematicians who aren't me, what's 0.22% represent?
Oh, in terms of the overall number?
We're talking
Yeah.
a couple $100, I'm betting.
For their budget, right? Because it's a small budget, it's,
Of the 228.
So is that the reason that, so if you look at this year's spending, maintenance was more than double
Mhm.
what you had budgeted, but then materials is lower.
It's, yeah.
So you basically didn't spend on materials because you went over.
Yeah.
Is this, unfortunately, it
That's a
makes it look like
reasonable
you just didn't
request
need to
of us
spend that on
No,
materials.
and I, you know, this is, I do work full-time, this is something that I pull together each year to just kind of, so my brain can keep track of, you know, why we're asking for more.
Yep.
And it's because we have pulled money from one line to another so that we stay within our budget as required by law.
So to answer Donna's question that was asked earlier, 0.22% of this budget represents $501.
So if you cut $520 from our maintenance line, we will figure it out.
Okay, thank you. And I'm, just to be fair, I'm gonna ask everybody that question, because,
Yeah.
I mean, that's our goal is,
We have to.
not our goal.
It's your guideline.
It's our requirement.
It's
our
our
requirement.
responsibility, it's our requirement, but honestly, if we can come in even lower, that would be ideal.
Always a good thing.
I just had a quick question about paving. Remember we spent engineering fees in the past?
We did not spend engineering.
Oh, we did
fees.
not?
No,
Okay.
we purchased, we had a survey done. That survey and I think title check were the only things that were covered under the warrant article previously.
That was around
We-
12,000?
I don't remember, I think the warrant article was for 25. I don't know that we spent all
say
of it.
20.
So, yeah, it was all kind of, I don't know, packaged under CMA.
Yep.
So we had a survey done and I believe the title search done. We requested money for the engineering for the parking lot. That warrant article failed, so that work stopped.
Okay, so do you think we're gonna need engineering fees if we try to pave this lot or just pave what's existing?
Well, we're not just gonna pave what's existing, because one of the things that we need to address is the water runoff. The water runoff is significant and it causes additional damage. And we can't just funnel it to either side of our property because we have abutters. We can't just negatively affect abutters. So one of the discussion points was, do we need to create a retaining pool somewhere on the library property in the front so that the water runs there rather than running into the neighbor's yard? I think that would require some engineering, I don't know how much.
But was that included in the 78?
I believe
Estimate.
so. Let's find out.
And this runoff you're talking about, that's from what's coming across the street and then crossing the road.
Street, yeah, yeah.
It doesn't have gutters on it, right? Everything's across the street.
Probably not, but either way, the whole topo
Yeah,
goes
it's
that
coming
way,
from
I
the
think.
ground.
So even if you had gutters, I think it's all still coming.
Yeah.
In that direction.
If drainage is desired beyond pitched water movement, a possible under parking lot collection system could be installed.
Those are not cheap and they're not easy to maintain.
So was the engineering, the number we had in CIP was 78.7. So was for the paving and the lighting, so was the engineering included in that?
It says, if engineering is required, hold 15,000 for engineering, and I don't know what that, I think it is included. I believe so. This was from July 5th. I'm not sure how many of these quotes are still valid. Let's, I mean, you know, anytime we pull together numbers like this, they can be out the window by the time it ends up on a warrant. So,
Okay, thank you.
any other questions? I do have a draft of the MOU. This is not the signed copy, but it does have
Cool.
what I had submitted, so I can either submit that or you can wait for Ellen to, okay. I always close by saying if anyone has any questions later that they didn't think of, please feel free to contact me. I am happy to answer.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
If you don't have Jen's email, I do, and obviously, thank you very much. Next is Conservation Commission. Come on up, guys. And for those following along at home, Concom is towards the end. Thank you. Yep, 305, 317, bottom of page 7.
It's the same, just smaller. Yeah.
Yeah, the small one I think was what we got last week. We got a bigger eyeball friendly version this week.
So we can see.
Ready when you are.
Just like with the, Board of Selectmen? Yes. So at our October meeting, we decided to, and voted on, moving some money from line items down to miscellaneous. Because we had a publication that came out recently, Explore Nottingham Outdoors Guide, which has recently been available for the public to purchase.
If you see that, I can pass this around.
Yeah, that would be great.
Yeah, awesome.
Thank you.
Really came out nicely.
Yeah, very nice. So the total, the total cost for the publication of the guide was a little over $1,800. So we moved $600 from the line items down into miscellaneous to partially pay for the publication. The remaining amount of $1,200 was picked up by someone's personal MasterCard to be reimbursed with sales. The guide cost approximately $8 to print, so $2 of the $10 would go to reimburse this person. Once the reimbursement is complete, then any overage will be directed to the general fund and earmarked for the Conservation Commission.
Can I just ask a question? Because if I'm understanding it, you said money was moved to the miscellaneous
Yeah,
line
it's not
Yes.
reflected.
and it's not showing.
It's not reflected in, because I had asked Ellen to send us the most recent one. So I think when Betsy got the invoice from this individual, from Tom, she put it under publications because it was
Okay.
publications, so she stuck into the publications.
Okay.
So, and Ellen and I spoke earlier today, so I think probably the reason why that happened was because Betsy didn't have a copy of our minutes yet and a copy of our specified budget, so she stuck it on a publication, which seems logical, because it's a vote.
Okay.
So that'll just get switched around once we get Betsy the minutes.
Okay.
It's kind of sort of 6 of one, half dozen the other, whether it all goes into publications and then pays them out of publications or goes into miscellaneous, but,
The bottom line isn't changing, it's just the allocation
Is-
within the
exactly.
lines.
correct.
Got it.
I'm gonna request, Cheryl, that you go over the Riverside maintenance, because I don't have that additional expected expense for the Pawtuckaway River on my copies.
Yeah, so the river sign, so let me go down through these, and we can do that too. So the postage, we're not requesting any change from what we had budgeted. Printing, we're asking for a $100 increase, so we don't have to mess around with this kind of stuff again. And we do tend to print out some stuff that we might need for some of the walks that we sponsor. We'll have handouts for those. We have some other things that we're doing for printing. So that's where that came in. And in the past, we've kind of, again, had to move that around, or we pay out of pocket and then somebody else gets reimbursed out of something else. So we figured if we put that in, since we're doing a bit more of those kind of things, correct on that. And then, and I apologize, because my eyes are having trouble with these glasses for some reason, and everything's blurry on me, so bear with me if I'm going, what the heck is that? And then on the next line, 307, dues, that is pretty standard. We have 5 organizations that we pay dues to, or make a regular donation. It's sort of expected. And one of those is the New Hampshire Association of Conservation Commissions. That has been paid for this year, that's $325. Lamprey River
Advisory
Advisory Council, I always forget what the A is for, is $100 that has not been paid yet this year. Society of Protection New Hampshire Forest is $100 that has been paid. Southeast Land Trust is $100 that has been paid. And Bear Paw Regional Greenways is $100, has not yet been paid this year. So those two additional payments will come out before the end of the year. One of them hadn't sent an invoice, so Betsy hadn't made the payments to him, so we just got that Bear Paw one, so that should be paid shortly. As far as conferences, different members of the commission will attend usually one of two conferences. There's always the possibility there'll be some other workshop that comes up in terms of, often UNH Extension offers some things in terms of conservation or how to read the environment or how to estimate a wetlands or something like that, and those will fall under conferences. But two of the big ones that we go to are the annual meeting, which Sam's going to on Saturday for the Conservation Commission Association conference. So he'll be going to that. And then in the spring, there's also a conference of saving special places that's usually put on by Extension and some other organizations, with usually about 4 tracks of concurrent sessions that at least 2, probably sometimes 3, and sometimes 4 of us attend that particular conference. And then you'll see down on mileage, a little bit further down, that covers our mileage to go to those conferences. And in all honesty, the $35 that's in that line will be spent by Sam on Saturday when he goes to Concord and back. So,
Yeah, I just submitted that.
because you did that, you just did that on this past Saturday, you went this past Saturday. For the conference, yes, the conference was this past Saturday.
Yeah.
So that his mileage would just get submitted, and that's what the $60 for that.
43 miles.
So we're leaving that conferences in there because it's sort of a flux as to who goes and who attends what and what the prices are, and the conferences seem to jump up in price each year. Publications, we usually have $220 in there, but the $600 got popped into that. We just discussed that for the publication that Don is looking at right now. Mapping, we don't have anything in it because there's just not a reasonable amount of money that we can put in there that would actually get us to get any map to get printed. Getting a map done is about $1,000 with getting the money to Stratford Regional Planning, the
Christmas sign.
data analysis, and then by this time the thing actually gets printed, it's very expensive. We found out there are other ways that we can do that with other data, and that's where some of that printing, I should say, the printing cost comes in, because we can do that through other methods. Let's see, the river sign, somehow that didn't get budgeted last year, but
I think it was on the original budget, but somehow that got combined with another account. I'm not sure just why that did, but.
right, so we've actually got river sign for the Pawtuckaway River is actually been ordered, right? And-
No, they haven't been ordered yet. I was waiting to see if I still had some money left in the budget.
Okay, so that's the actual estimate for getting that pair of signs for the river and that's gonna be on route.
Be similar to the one for the North River that's out here on
So they're
Florida Street.
carved signs with the mounting pole that goes up on those as well.
And a couple of years ago, I did buy another set of signs for the North River that is still waiting for the bridge north of the school to get done.
right.
They didn't want to put them up and then have them taken down and put them back up again, so.
Or
they're
ta-
still
or
sitting
take them
in
down
there.
and somehow,
Lose them,
Not
break
see
them,
them again.
whatever, yes.
Yeah.
so, and then the trail development, again, $75 spent out of that was for a sign
Yeah, trail markers.
and trail markers, that was spent for that. And depending upon what happens, or trees going down, we lose our trail markers that go in and those have to be replaced, or something happens to some of those. So again, with the Trails Committee, and with more that's going on with trails, we're trying to make sure that those are staying well marked, with more usage in town as well. Let's see, office supplies minimal, and that's usually to get a ream of paper for photocopying or printing or something like that. And equipment, that's, I don't know if we have to try and put that towards a tent for one of our displays or something like that. It's, again, minimal. We just put it in, it's sort of a placeholder or to have a little bit of money in there for it. Mileage, we just explained. The water test maintenance and supplies. So 350, we knew that we were gonna be needing a new pH meter for the water testing and supplies, and somehow the Lamprey River Lamprey River Advisory Committee managed to get a grant and get some equipment replaced. So they were actually able to buy a pH meter to replace our pH meter, which is great. The combi meter that we have that measures, what does it measure? It measures
Dissolved oxygen.
dissolved oxygen. That meter is getting pretty wonky. And that one costs well over $500 and probably closer to $800 to get that replaced. We might be able to do something with that, but that's why we want to keep the maintenance in there for that. As well as getting some of the reagents, and it's batteries, because we constantly have to replace the batteries in all of those testing pieces as well. And then the miscellaneous line, we've never put any money in it, except for that change that I talked to you about. So I think that's it. What our plan was to move $100 from conferences and $300 from the water testing, as well as the money out of the publications down into the miscellaneous line to pay for this publication. It's kind of 6 of one, half dozen the other, whether it stays in there as long as it gets moved and Tom gets that. That's already been paid to Tom for that $600. And I don't think there was anything else that I missed.
Probably.
That's good, thank you, Cheryl.
Any questions from you folks?
I'm not gonna ask you the same question because it'd only be like a few dollars to get you.
$2.64.
Yes, okay.
I thought you might wanna know.
$2.64?
Yeah, to get you down to the 4%. Thank you.
Hey Ellen, just a housekeeping technicality. If they're moving money from one line to another, should there not be $1 in the line? If it's a 0, can you move money to that line? Again, just a nitty housekeeping detail.
So I think
I
that's
believe
only
that is
at
true
the,
over the years.
Typically, there should be an appropriation there to begin with.
I think it's only at the the actual what's on the state report totals. Like for the school board, it's not at the level of detail that they show here. It's like whatever the totals are on the.
Yeah, I think on the town side, there's been discussions where we've had a line and we've said, okay, let's leave $1 here. So
Actually, I don't think it's advised to leave dollars that are never spent into lines. I think that's actually worse.
been different. Just
I think
again,
it's a
just
procedural thing, I don't think it's a requirement.
Yeah, I thought it
that's
holds
fine.
the line.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I thought.
With a whole bunch of appropriated
It's
money that
always
you're
done on the
spending.
town side, yeah.
So do we need to do something different?
No, I was just questioning.
I was gonna say, the next time we meet, we can sort of change that move around and put it to where you think it needs to go, so.
The book is fantastic. Where can people get that?
They can actually buy copies of it here. I'll let Sue talk to it, because these two are on the Trails Committee, I'm actually not.
In town office or the rec department.
It's fantastic.
Excellent. No, that's awesome.
Yeah,
There's ones in
great.
there I
Very
didn't know.
well.
Yeah, a lot of work that they all put in,
And I just
particularly
wanna
Tom.
say that Celia Abrams, who no longer lives in town, and Leanne Gass did most of the heavy prep work and permitting through the state and other agencies that hold the conservation easements on several of these properties. So,
Nice.
No, it's a great product. Really appreciate
a lot
it.
of
Yeah, it's
people,
awesome.
yeah.
Any
Yeah,
other?
and it's, there's an article that was just in the most recent town newsletter on this, and that it can also be downloaded, so it kinda counters the pay money or
Paying
donation.
back.
So people can either pay $10 for it, or they can make a $10 donation for it. which then goes back into the Conservation Commission, so,
But it's beautiful.
yeah, yeah, it is. It's a very, very nice job. Sure, $2.20, was that what it was?
Yeah, I said I wasn't gonna ask, just because it was only $2, but anyway,
Back from.
yeah, so never mind.
We're all good, don't worry about the two
You're
sixty-four.
going easy on them.
Karen's
I know.
magnanimous. Any other questions for conservation folks? Thank you very much, really appreciate the
Thank you.
presentation.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
All the work to do.
Laura, you gotta be next, aren't you? If not, you're the only other one here. We're gonna make Ellen wait longer than you, so.
And Dawn would show up because.
Page 1, starting at line 23.
Such small dollars, but.
Oh, it is you next on the, look at that, perfect.
It is, but
Your point is if we, if it's capped by 4%, then everybody should be 4%.
Yes, and isn't it better for them to tell us what they
Oh,
want to
yeah.
cut versus we just
Exactly.
cut?
Yeah, yeah.
So that's why I wanna ask everybody.
Okay, so first page in your packet, bottom town clerk. Floor is yours, Lori.
Okay, now, I don't, what I have does not look like what you have.
Okay,
Um,
you can just hit the highlights. We don't have to necessarily do line by line.
it's pretty straightforward, I think. We weren't able to go to the conference this year because they moved it to Bretton Woods and we would have had to stay overnight. So it would have been much more expensive than that. Last year it was in Nashua, so that was great, that was a good day trip. Let me see. I think that we might need a second credit card machine for the second computer that we have. And I'm really not too sure how much it is, but I didn't even put it in here because there aren't any firm plans for that yet. But basically, it's just, you know, to give us an increase. And
Looks like
we have three
the
elections.
fees line went up. I don't know if you have that.
So for every transaction that we do with the state, there are fees involved that we get paid.
So revenues offset that.
Pardon me?
The revenue offsets that because you charge the customers, right, for the fees?
I'll give you an example. If we issue a marriage license, we collect $50. 43 goes to the state, which we pay monthly for all those fees, and then the clerk gets to keep the balance.
But the 6,200, is that
62,000.
62,000, sorry. That's what you anticipate has to go to the state?
No, that's what the clerks keep out of the
Yes.
fees.
That's what the clerks keep.
So it's part of the compensation. It's the way the tax collector used to be set up, so they would get.
And that is split, how's that split between?
Pretty much 50-50.
Okay.
It depends on who does what. And we work pretty even hours, so.
But isn't that offset by revenue? I'm confused. If it's fees that people pay to get the licenses, isn't that
The
62?
town gets to keep the
The
town
state.
part, the
Right.
state gets to keep the state part.
So the 62,000 is what the town keeps?
No, that's an expense, not revenue. Well, that's what I'm saying, if it's
Yeah, yeah,
offset
that's-
by
yeah,
revenue.
yeah.
Because we're one check now, the town does get to keep it, but to pay it to us.
But you've collected it from people who are paying.
Okay, someone does,
Is this before or after fees go to the state?
someone does a car registration, it's $100. 40, I'm just giving round figures.
Yeah.
40 goes to the state, 3 goes to us, and the balance goes to the town.
So this 62,000, where does it go?
To me and Alana.
Yeah, that's that's part of their salaries.
Okay, so that's
Yes.
after the money goes to the state.
Correct. So what,
Yes.
what we're
Yeah,
doing,
that's
what
what's
we're
left
reporting
over.
as a revenue is the auto registrations, or the registrations as a whole, like the total
At
collections.
the end of the year, because we're a one check, we have to show the entire amount of money we collected, and then it's offset elsewhere by how much we've paid the state. They have to pay the state every day.
But, okay, I think the answer
Yes.
is all of this is collected from individuals who pay the fees. So it's off.
And is this a standard so that, $100 comes in and $40 goes here? Does every
No, no.
town pay the same split like that?
Yep.
Okay,
Oh, you mean to the clerks?
yes.
No,
And where are those, or how are those set?
every town does it differently.
And where are ours? Like how should I know how much?
Oh, if you register your car in Lee, it's gonna cost the same amount of money. How
Okay,
they pay their clerks is up to the town of Lee.
and where's that information? That,
So that's by statute. So the town clerk receives compensation for their position, and the town can opt to also give them the fees for every transaction that they process. Or they can eliminate the fees and just include it as part of the salary. So Nottingham is set up so that they get both. So they might get a lower wage for their duties, but then they get the fees compensation that kind of makes it whole. The tax collector was set up the same way a few years ago, and it's what the town ended up doing by warrant article is removing the fees because she would get paid a certain amount for every transaction she processed. So they eliminated that, they let that come into the general fund, and then they adjusted the hourly wage accordingly.
and so where can we get more information about Nottingham and what we do?
It's all by statute.
Does the board decide whether it's split between those two things or how, like,
town
board
Town
is
meeting.
town meeting, so it was passed
So
at
it's
some point in
how
time.
it was established initially.
Okay, and where could we get that?
So they would need to know what year, somebody would need to research what
Research
year
it,
it was
yeah.
established and look up the warrant.
I'm just curious, I
Oh, yeah.
know nothing
Some
about,
questions, yeah.
I mean, I've heard of it, but
Every town does it differently. A lot of towns pay their clerks a salary
right,
with benefits.
right.
Some pay just a salary and they're considered just elected
Like a-
employees,
Yeah,
right?
just like a stipend
Yeah.
for their service.
But if they're getting salary and benefits, are they full-time?
No,
Correct me if I'm wrong, and my memory is terrible. Did we do an increase in salary last year?
Yes.
yep, for the first time in 4 years,
Everybody got,
And what
increase
was
last year.
that?
$1.
$1.
So $1 last year.
So if it's $1 between Alana and I, about $700 a year each.
and this 62 is an estimate essentially of what we think you're gonna get
Right, and that's
based on.
divided between the two of us.
What are you seeing for trends?
Pardon me?
What are you seeing for trends? Fewer car registrations, more marriages? More marriages, hey, I know my daughter paid.
We had a lot of marriages this year, a lot, which, that was interesting. People are buying things. They're buying very expensive things.
See, I would have thought the
That
trend would
expensive.
start going down, like they could do some of this online.
So
You can do it online, but you pay a fee.
Pay more.
I come down,
yeah, but
That's why, but it's more convenient for a lot of people, right? So that's
So
why I
you're
was
not-
wondering if they're,
okay, let
amount
me
they
explain,
make
when you
might be
pay
impacted.
online, all you're doing is paying. It's like buying something from Amazon. Something still has to take it off the shelf, put it in a box and mail it to you.
right,
We still do all of that. That's
But
just a payment.
what I'm
for it.
saying, when somebody does it online, you don't end up getting any revenue from that.
Yeah.
They do.
Oh, you still have the same.
right,
Okay.
but
They're
the
doing
credit
all
card
the same
company
kinds
gets
of
it also. That's
Yeah.
that's the
The credit card
difference.
gets a fee.
Right,
because
that's why I go down person and do it, cause it
The
adds up.
municipality can't keep that fee. It's
Right.
illegal for them to do that.
Okay.
So what was your question, Donna?
No, I was just curious about what the trends were.
Oh, the trends are probably do 10,000 vehicles, transactions this year.
So, oh, okay, so that's going up from last year.
A lot more dogs. Everybody has at least one.
Yep, kids are driving now,
Yep,
so more vehicles.
Yep.
Higher
Is
insurance.
that personal experience?
yes, I see those scared parents all the time.
So the fees are mandated by statute, RSA 41:25, and then the compensation of the fees to the town clerk is under RSA 32. So it states a minimum fee of $2. Obviously Nottingham must have established something a little bit different from that at some point, so we'll have to do some research and find out when that fee was
The
last.
state said, I think it was in 2015, that we were allowed to collect $3. I remember I had just started, and Sandy notified me of that, because
Okay.
that was all new to me at that point. Yeah, so when people pay online, it's good because then they don't have to come into the office and we don't have to see twice as many people or 3 times as many people. We generally only have to wait on people that buy a new car, or a new trailer, or a camper, or register their dogs. But it's still work that has to get done. Plus, we have 3 elections next year, and we have more responsibilities than ever.
And in your notes, Lori, you're suggesting additional hours or converting to salaries?
Most towns around us pay a salary. Yeah. When I tell people at a meeting that that's how we get paid, they kind of laugh at us.
So that would require a warrant article to change.
So most towns do salary, but no,
No fees.
no fees. Okay.
And I don't know how they determine it. And they all have at least 2 people working at the same time. Which we do anyway during election season on a busy, especially right before the election when people are signing up or absentee ballots are being requested in person. Because the clerk registering cars can't do both. You can't register someone to vote, give them an absentee ballot and register their car all at the same time. It's too complicated.
My understanding is by law, you're officially the keeper of all records.
Yes, I just got an email from the from the Town Clerks Association that is regarding all that, and I sent it to Ellen, she's sending it to you.
Oh, thanks. Thanks, Lori.
It was pretty detailed, but it's good.
Oh, will it? Oh, good, okay.
I mean, it's definitely more efficient now where you make your appointment online, go down there.
I think so.
Oh yeah, back in the day, you'd walk in, there'd be like
Line.
10 people
Yeah.
deep, you're like, oh. And then you walk
that's how
out,
we
try to come
felt.
back again, right? So it's like, ugh.
And the state just implemented appointment only at the DMV.
Oh,
That started this past Monday.
that's better.
It was, optional, but they said, no, it's 100% by appointment.
That's good, makes sense.
Can you explain about the current state computer cannot be upgraded?
It can't. It's Windows 10. They never notified us. And I kept waiting for them to send me an upgrade. And so I contacted them and they said it's too old.
Windows 10 is what
Okay,
it
I'm
meant.
sorry, I misunderstood. That's just a comment on the same. You
Yeah.
just had to update the.
So I had to dig in and buy another computer.
We're able to do that in this year's budget, so she was just trying to note it because it's not showing in the expenditures.
Got it.
Yeah, because it's showing 9,391 down to 5,580.
I really thought that they were gonna be able to do something, swap it out or whatever. But they had no interest.
Sure.
So, but you've reduced that line, so that's still
Enough.
enough?
Yes, because I think last year you had budgeted for the extra software module for adding
Oh,
a
okay.
second computer, and then they didn't charge us for it or something,
Okay.
is that
They didn't
correct?
charge us nearly as much as I thought they
Right.
were going to.
Okay.
That's a fun surprise. Any other questions for Lori?
No.
Well, thank you very much. Appreciate it.
I'm glad you like the appointments because I think.
Oh, yeah,
that's
the
something-
appointments.
Oh, yeah, it's definitely,
It's the best thing I think.
absolutely, you have time, boom, you're gonna get down there and get right in. No, it's the best thing. It's easy.
So on the next one for election and registration, it's 3 parts. Supervisors were not able to attend. I don't believe Dawn is coming as the moderator, but I'm going to pull up their individual spreadsheet that kind of gives you an overview of each piece. So it's the moderator, supervisors of the checklist, and then what the town clerk needs to run elections. So let me just pull this up, and I apologize that it's not in your packets. I didn't think to take it out.
Does it still follow what's on page 2?
Yes, yep, but it just kind of breaks down the summary. So
Detail.
what happens is the supervisors provide me with a worksheet and say, I need this to run an election, but then there's the other pieces. There's the moderator salary, there's the programming of the new ballot machine, and then obviously the printing of the ballots, so. And Lori escaped, so I guess I will talk to this.
Very quickly, I noticed.
And the largest piece of this, the reason for the increase is we've gone from 1 election in 2025 to 3 required in 2026. So the cost of the election is what it is. We need election workers to work them. We need to print the ballots. We're hoping, if you look at the printing for last year, the for 2025, I'm sorry, is 77,3356. 6,500 of that was the ballots, and the main reason is we had extremely long, multiple page ballots because
yes.
of
Yeah,
the
we
zoning
did.
amendments. When the planning board put them out to public hearing for the zoning amendments, normally there's like a little brief question that will say, are you in favor of amendment number such and such? And it's, on this topic, and then if somebody wants to understand the context, they can go to the larger document or go back to the public hearing minutes and understand what that change actually incorporates. But because it wasn't presented at public hearing with that question, we had to put the full language with all the changes on there. So I think it was an additional 6 or 7 pages that had all of those changes. So we had $6,500 in ballot printing last year. We know that there's gonna be zoning amendments. We know that there's gonna be warrant articles. We just don't know the volume yet. So, a plug figure was $5,000 plus the $1,000 that the supervisors will need for their printing of the checklist, et cetera. So this is a better breakdown up here, if you can see it. So I broke it down into moderator requests, supervisors of the checklist, and then the town clerk to just kind of give you that overview of who needs what. Moderator is strictly the stipend that she gets for her elected position, and then the election worker's salaries, which she estimated about $8,800.
Is that the same as what we have in front of us?
No.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, it's
The
just
totals are
broken
the
down a
same.
little bit more,
It's
so
just
you
more
can see
detail.
each piece
got
of
it, yeah.
the election registration.
I can kind of read it. You gonna ask your question, Karen?
74% over?
No, I'm not going to on this one, because we have to have the 3 elections. Plus Don's not here next.
Any questions on that? Seems pretty straightforward.
That one is
We
what it
spent
is.
13,000 for 1 election last year, and we're looking at 32,000 for 3, so apparently there's some savings
It
and
is what it is.
bulk ordering, I guess, on elections.
Yeah, so the only thing that might be a variable in there that we're uncertain of is Dawn, the moderator, had presented to the select board that there is a little bit, she was actually willing to surrender her stipend and then take a little bit of what's left in that budget to potentially purchase some poll pads, which will help the check-in process and hopefully speed things up, so.
So she wants to swap her stipend for that?
Yeah,
Yeah.
to purchase the poll pads. So we might have some additional programming fees that we have to figure in there, but
I feel like we discussed this last year. Did we purchase poll pads last year as well?
we didn't. So we had applied for a grant to cover however much of the ballot machine, or we could have used them towards the poll pads, but because the warrant article was written specifically for the ballot machine, we ended up using half of that towards the cost of the ballot machine. So unfortunately, because it was a warrant article, we couldn't use it for other purposes.
So we have none now, is that
Poll
correct?
pads, no.
None. Thank you.
Dawn did do a pretty convincing
Argument
presentation
for it, yes.
of how efficient and how time-saving things could possibly be.
We discussed it at pretty good length
Yeah.
last year,
Yeah,
the
and we just did again
virtues of
last
having
week,
them.
yeah.
What's, though, I mean, like, how much are we saving by having her surrender her stipend?
$1,200.
It's the top one there, that.
It's a
salary.
moderator stipend.
I mean, I'm just gonna throw it out there, she works really hard, and it's
Yeah,
a lot
I
of pressure on an election.
But she's
so.
also looking at this as it would be, a step towards moving the election process, or the actual voting process forward, advancing it with technology.
Yeah, it's not gonna
the,
change her job at all, though. It's not gonna change her job.
What's the expected lifespan of the full pads? Do we know that?
I don't have that information, I can get it for you.
So these are just instead of the binders, it's on an
Correct.
iPad?
Yep.
But it's not like an iPad?
It is it is essentially an iPad where
And
they
then
can
set
just
up
go
just
right in.
specifically for the,
And how many would that be for? I'm sorry.
I think she was looking to purchase two, one for her and one for the town clerk, and then it would be up to the supervisors. They weren't quite ready to transition over to that yet, so it would be the option to add on the 3 that they would need.
So for Donnan, the clerk,
The town clerk.
and so how would they use them?
I can't speak to it because I don't know enough about it.
Yeah, because they're not doing the voter check-in, right? So what would they be using it for? Just, I mean, that's something for us to ask
Yeah.
Dawn.
For totaling?
That's what it
Is
was.
it for the end of the night
Totally,
stuff?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm sure they're safe, not hackable.
Yep, we went through all of that last year,
It's not for
remember?
the people checking.
They're not connected, there's no whatever,
Well, Wi-Fi's for that, you don't have a cord if it's not connected.
no cord, life is good. Any other questions on
Some people may
elections?
disagree.
And if you do come up with any, I'm happy to delay and then coming back with a response for next week.
And then I think you just have the full gamut for everything else, so whatever you'd like next.
All right. We'll actually go to planning and zoning, because I don't have anybody here to represent that either, and the reason being that they're not seeking anything other than level funding with the exception of,
9.73?
What is it?
Page 4,
page 4, starting on line
85 to
85.
106.
85.
Completely forgot that.
So the largest change with this budget, essentially, it is level funding. They did add in under line item 89, the dues and conferences for Stratford Regional Planning Commission's annual dues. Typically, this would be under the regional planning commissions, which is a separate budget, but the planning board incorporated it into theirs. So what happened here in 2025, I think we had like a 75% turnover in the planning board membership. Ed Veal, the chair, moved on. Decided not to run for reelection. Fortunately, Dirk Grotenhuis came back. He was on the planning board in the past, but we did have a lot of new members and we rely very heavily on Blair Haney, who's our circuit rider with Stratford Regional, for the resources. We pay him as the town planner for his services. He attends the planning board meetings, does the review applications. But additionally, becoming a dues-paying member with Stratford Regional, it opens the town up to a discounted hourly rate for him in addition to planning-related trainings, webinars, resources. There were a ton of legislative changes that happened that will affect our zoning ordinance for amendments this upcoming year. And they extrapolate all that data, they put it in layman's terms, they tell us what we need to do. So the select board reviewed it in detail over a couple of meetings and said, we need to find the money for this service to the town. And so that's what they did. They did some line item shifting, and we did pay the dues in 2025. So we would like to continue that service into 2026. So outside of that, both the planning and the zoning budgets that are presented are level funded. Any questions? No. Okay.
Big old beast of 550. Want to talk about that separately, or are we all good?
The what?
Zoning.
The zoning?
She just wants
to.
it's
level funded.
Yeah, level funding.
So,
So 550, and that's essentially, so the The land use coordinator works for both the planning board and the zoning board. That was split out at one point, but it's more work to actually split out the duties. The zoning board meets once a month, the planning board meets twice. Really depends on the caseload, so we just said, you know, it's really minimal, so we just enveloped everything into one. So the remaining expenses that go into that budget are, most of them are offset by applicant fees. Your postage,
The advertising, right?
Yeah, your advertising is your public hearing notices. You do have basic office supplies, mailings, paper. Some of that is allocated, but $550. So do we wanna go back to page
Yeah.
one
Page one,
and hit everything else that has not been discussed as long
let's
as?
do it. Executive,
This budget, I am requesting a 3.8% increase. And that increase is primarily made up of the fact that line number 21, which was the newsletter that has been part of the operating budget for several years until it was cut out and put into a warrant article in 2025. So I've added that back in there. It got very good support from warrant article this year. And I think in fairness, I don't even know if $10,000 is enough, but
Well, we have offsetting revenue so far of 3,000
3,000, so.
in advertising.
It's a plug figure. I do want to put it back into the operating budget. So that's where the bulk of the increase did come from. I also did, just to kind of keep the 4% in mind, last year we had raised a merit compensation pool of $50,000 to be spread across all the town departments. We did have a promotion that was absorbed in that from, we promoted the highway director to a public works director. We enveloped the recycling center into his position. So that was a bulk of the compensation, as well as there was some additional compensation given to the fire chief's position this year. So I felt that it was comfortable to reduce that down to 30,000, especially given the fact you'll hear next week that the police department again has included the increases in their operating budget. So I thought that was an area that I could reduce this overall budget and kind of absorb some of the $10,000 impact for the
You know what
newsletter.
the number is for the police? Before it used to be all together and they sort of separated, right?
Yes,
So do we know the figure?
we'll have that figure next week. We're not discussing the police department budget tonight. But this $50,000 did not include the police in 2025 either. It was all other departments.
So the reason
Okay.
that it shows a zero spent this year was because it actually got
Because
moved to
technically,
different lines.
well, the increases actually hit the individual line items. So this is just kind of a placeholder to absorb it throughout the rest of the budget.
So there are salary increases here.
And that would be based on all the positions as they are presently paid. So that the increases from 2025 to what's proposed in 2026 are actually part of that merit pool increase. So take that $50,000 and allocate it into all the salary lines throughout all the departments.
Okay. But there's a merit compensation pool and increases in salaries. So, for instance, there's like a 5% and 10% increase in salaries here.
Where are you looking?
So if you look, both the town administrator and the
And the
town,
secretarial.
right,
Oh, okay.
are both getting,
Is what you said that it's reflecting the increase that last year's merit pool
Correct.
provided?
Uh,
Does that?
So this would,
Right,
so
open
the
that again.
30,000 would be for future increases. What we did was, the annual performance reviews that are completed with all the employees, we used to do them on their hiring anniversary date, and unfortunately, it seems like the bulk of the hiring takes place between October and January, when we're in the middle of this process, so
Right.
people are deferred, or there's no money to allocate towards merit pool increases, so we did a procedural change and moved everybody to an April annual review. So at that point, we know what we have to work with, whether this gets reduced, increased, zeroed out. then we have an expectation to move forward with and say like, hey, you're doing a really good job, but we don't have any money to give you, sorry.
Right.
Or,
Right.
it's a little bit easier to plan for those increases. So that's what we rolled out this year. We did everybody's reviews in April, and that's gonna be the process moving forward. So yes, the salaries moving forward will be reflective of current wages in 2025, and then the $30,000 will be a pool of availability, hopefully, for merit pay increases in '26.
So does that, silly question, but does that approach still work for us? Because it was, I don't know how many years ago when we introduced that approach of having the merit compensation. So does that still work for us?
I don't agree with it personally. I've just taken on the same status that was left by my predecessors. I think it's really difficult, especially when you do have to calculate in the cost of living adjustments, what the inflation rates are.
Yeah.
So sometimes you're giving somebody merit, but it's barely covering the cost of inflation.
Yeah.
So,
Is that something that you would want the Board of
Yes.
Selectmen to reconsider?
yes.
But isn't that typical for all industry? Most people are getting 2-3% increases, and it's not keeping up with inflation and
It might
cost
be
of
for
living.
private industry, it's not for public sector.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Public sector, typically, there's a cost of living adjustment and then a step or a merit. So it's
Interesting.
usually a two-phase system is the common approach in public service.
Okay.
I've been looking for COLA for 28 years. I haven't found it. Okay, not everybody gets it.
Right.
Sometimes we get decreases in pay cuts.
Okay.
It's all industry specific, I think,
Right,
really is what it comes
right.
down to.
Yeah, I think if it's, not really working optimally the way that we had envisioned, then
It's tough. I mean, every once in a while, we had to do a significant adjustment with the police department because, of course, nobody wants to get into that line of work. And you've got somebody that you've just put through the full-time academy, you've paid them a full-time wage and benefits to get through to that point, and then they leave to go to another department over the town line, or
yeah.
so you've already invested in somebody to start their career elsewhere. And then just the pool is so small. I mean, we had positions, we still have a part-time position that's vacant. So, sometimes that doesn't always keep in line with the reality of, a town that can afford to put a $10,000 sign-on bonus. We don't have that
Yep.
ability, so you
Well,
have to
I don't think
adjust.
the town has to be anchored to this approach if that's not working for us. I think, Charlotte, that's something the board might want to discuss.
Yeah, so no, seriously.
Yeah.
Get through this first.
We're adding it to the
Yeah,
list.
No, you're right.
No, it's on the list. It's just a matter of coming up with the right approach, and then unfortunately, you don't want to have, a company out there to give you a whole bunch of closet data that's literally going to be tucked in a closet somewhere.
Right.
We can do wage analysis. I usually try to participate in other towns that invest in that type, and then we get the data back
Yeah.
for participating, which is great, but unless you're going to reference it within 6 months, it's old data.
Useless.
We have several of these smaller lines that have gone over this year. Copy machine, office supplies, in aggregate, they're maybe 10 grand.
So office supplies, this becomes the catch-all for all of the office supplies, and then we reallocate it to the departments. So it's the bulk water that we purchase through the state bid processing, those all, and like the amount of paper that we use, envelopes, that type of stuff. So we have like a percentage formula where they get reallocated. It just doesn't happen until the end of the year.
Well, that's fine, but I was more wondering on ones maybe than like the copy machine lease where the number is already higher than your budget. I mean, are you comfortable with that? Do you know that you're gonna have enough float in your budget already anyway, since this is bottom line budgeting? But
I do. I am comfortable with that. A lot of that comes from when the recreation department does their newsletter. It's a lot of colored printing, and we get charged for that. And because it's all through UBO, which is our copy machine lease company, it gets charged there. It's probably more appropriately applied into like office supplies or maybe even the service contracts equipment. So I really look at those two as like an interchangeable,
Gotcha.
23,000 collectively rather than 20,000 and 3,000. So if one's a little bit over, I know the other is gonna be a little less.
under. Got it. Okay, that makes sense. Thank you. Any other questions on executive?
No.
What do you got next? Finance?
Sure, we'll talk finance. So that's page 2, starting at line 42. Tracy, our tax collector, has quite a few line items in here, so she gives me what she needs to operate. Her department is pretty much printing of the tax bills, tax collector dues, in their annual conference, making sure that they attend the spring workshops, to make sure that they're up to date on all the procedural items. Also within this budget is anything finance related, the bookkeeper's salary, the treasurer's stipend, our annual financial audit that takes place. The trustees of the trust funds receive a small stipend for their services. And then we do have a recording secretary that takes care of these meetings. Postage would be mailing out of the tax bills. And I think just for the most part, Tracy and I went through this. She went through her portion, I went through the rest of it, and we just evaluated items, year-to-date expenditures, and then past trends, and we just adjusted where we could. So it's an increase, but minimal at 2.59%. And then, I'm sorry, the software is also a big piece of this. So we use Avatar Tax Collect. So that is in this, as well as our accounting software. And iCloud, which allows us to pay our tax bills online. So there's a annual fee for that.
Does this include the accounting software that we talked about during CIP?
Yes, so presently we're paying about, I think it's $4,200 in support to our present accounting software. It's BMSI, it might as well be DOS-based, it's old. The company itself has since integrated over to a cloud-based software called GWorks. They want us, of course, to roll out. But eventually, we lost our main point of contact who knew the system inside and out, was able to go in and work around all the bugs and everything, and she actually left the company. So our support is limited to the owner of the company. And
Who has lots of free time.
they're trying to phase us into the cloud base. So I see in the very near future to the point that we're probably not going to get the support that we need with an aging software that doesn't really function the way we need it to in the first place. We extrapolate a lot of the data into Excel and make it do the work. So we're talking twice the effort. So I am heavily pursuing finance companies or accounting softwares. I have been doing webinars, tutorials. I've watched other towns go through the Livent process. I think I've narrowed it down to 2 final candidates, and I'm hoping that we're successful in getting funding for it in 2026. It'll be a long process, probably about 7 to 8 months to roll the data, probably 5 years worth of data, and then get everything
That's a nightmare.
kick-started.
So
It is a nightmare, but it's a necessary evil.
Right. The other thing that she mentioned when we were doing CIP is that it will integrate with other systems.
Yes.
So it will integrate with Avatar,
So
for example.
instead of receiving the report from the town, or even ClerkWorks that the town clerk uses, instead of getting a manual report and having somebody data enter that into the system and having the room for clerical error there, we can import. And it's also cloud-based, so I can give department heads privileges. They can go in and they can see what's been expended to their account. They can play around with proposed budgets. It's all live, it's right there at the fingertips, and we don't need it's all cloud-based, so your backup, if something ever should happen disastrous, we can access essentially from anywhere. So we don't have the disaster recovery.
So is this $5,200?
The $5,200 is the estimated annual support. That's about average, based on what the companies have provided me for
Of the old system we're trying to.
the new system. I actually have it budgeted for a new system, the increase.
Plus, we'll save money on floppy disks.
Floppy disks, wow,
Zip drives.
real old school. The salary question again, so this one looks like there's COLA being built in.
For the tax collector,
Tax
correct.
collector.
Yep, so
The
she
tax
added a
collector.
3%. So that is those are stipend positions, they're not
So they're not
employees.
included in the merit pool, right? Okay, that's what I thought, but thank you for the clarification.
And there was no adjustment on the bookkeeper because it's based on I think it was based on more hours than are actually being worked. So I haven't had to adjust that for this year.
Yeah, percentage wise, it looks like it's a little better, a little less than 80%, so that should be, since this should be at 83 now if it's in theory. Excellent. Any other finance questions?
All right, assessing. So assessing is somewhere here. Did I put it over here? I did.
Page three.
Page 3, starting at line 63. Most significant change, we were not successful in adding to the capital reserve fund in 2024, the $20,000 that was needed to complete the revaluation this year. So we had to add it to the operating budget because we completed our townwide revaluation at the tune of $100,000. We had about $80,000 in the capital reserve fund plus a little bit of, actually, I think we had 75. Somewhere thereabouts. We were about $20,000 short to make the reval happen this year, so it was added to the operating budget. I don't need it in the operating budget because we're not doing a reval for another 5 years unless we're mandated by the Department of Revenue. So it looks really good here, but it's gonna come on as a warrant article because we need to start replenishing that fund again.
And because
Is there a plan if we continue to not be successful in passing those warrants?
Yeah, why would that be as a warrant article?
Why is it? Because you can only add to capital reserve funds by warrant article. So what
And
we do
it's
is,
savings. You're
it's a
saving it
savings.
in.
Yeah, I get that, but I mean, we're gonna have to
you're mandated
do a
by state
reassessment
constitution, you have to do one every 5 years. It was unfortunately the year that a lot of things did not pass. So hopefully.
But you're saying why not put 20,000 in the operating budget every year?
Because we don't expend it in that year, you're only raising and appropriating for the year you're gonna expend it. We can't pay for something we don't know what the cost is gonna be 5 years later.
There's gotta be a better way.
Well, there's a savings account. We just have to encourage people that we do this for a reason.
Yeah.
So that there isn't a huge tax burden on year 5 and we're
Right,
raising
right.
$100,000. So it's the approach, the education, the communication, and hopefully we're getting better at it.
Good luck with that.
That was a 1-year thing.
You think?
I did get, so our assessing contract, we contract with Avatar and Associates we got rid of our Board of Assessors several years ago, so we subcontract an assessor to do all of that dirty work for the town. So we had I think it was a 5-year agreement with them. It expires 12/31 of 2025. I put a plug figure in there. We are running currently about $28,000 a year for that service. He comes in once a month. Does all the assessing duties that we need him to. So I did a plug figure of $30,000. Unfortunately, I just got that contract renewal in today and it's $35,000. So I need more than I've allocated, but I didn't want to change this without having the discussion here. Okay. And outside of that, there were just some minimal changes amongst the line items. Again, if we don't need to raise it, if we haven't expended it, then I tried not to increase and I tried to reduce it where I thought it was comfortable. For the mapping updates, I did want to note that we were several years behind the tax maps. Just updates that had not been completed or provided to the mapping company. We are now up to date through April 1st of 2025, which is where we wanted to be, but there were some additional expenditures to get those maps updated. So I am comfortable, I did do a minimal increase for 2026 because like everything else, the cost of services goes up. So this includes both our paper maps and the online GIS that is available on the town's website.
Any other questions on assessing? Can we not get sued this year? Question for legal, please.
Yeah, that's just gonna say, lawyer fees.
Please, can we get out of these lawsuits? Anyway, so legal looks like you're proposing,
Level funding, we don't know what we don't know.
except for the dollar. I appreciate that.
Oh, yeah, I did cut that out. So originally that was in the
Was the
land use or something like that.
Placeholder, hang on.
Wherever we need the legal, it comes out of this
Yep.
pool. And that was actually, a conversation that the library had is technically they should have legal fees as well, so.
Laws around library finance are crazy.
Any questions on legal?
Nope. No.
Okay. The next one, the personnel administration. This is going to be, how do I say it, like fluid to the end? Because we are going to be actively looking at this and making changes as necessary. The most notable increase is in our health insurance and dental. The town offers two plans. We have a low deductible, higher contribution to the employee plan, and then a higher deductible, lower contribution to the employee plan. The higher deductible saw an increase this year of 15.8%. And the lower deductible was 9.2%. So based on the census data, like who is in which plan, it averaged out to be about a 10.1% increase. We are part of Health Trust, which they pool all the smaller municipalities together, and we actually get a better, more premium health insurance by being in that pool. However, as you've seen,
10%
personally,
pretty good
yeah.
for this year.
Yeah, just
Horrible as
insurance
that
generally,
statement is,
it's not just health.
This year has been rough.
So the $600,000 is based on those increases with our present staffing level. When we were trying really hard to get to the 4% tax cap last year, the select board recognized that we had vacant positions both in the fire department, the police department, I think we even had one maybe in the highway department. And we knew that we were gonna be there for at least the first quarter of the year. So we looked at that and said, okay, we can adjust that line because we know we're not gonna be paying that benefit for probably the first quarter of 2025. So the $467,000 that we raised in 2025 did not cover all of the positions. We have been very fortunate this year that for at least 3/4 of the year, we've been fully staffed in all departments.
Wow.
It's amazing. It's the first time in a long time.
First time in a long time.
Yes.
And how many people is that total?
28 benefit eligible people.
Thank you.
So that's across all departments, police, fire, highway department, town office, recreation. So I didn't feel comfortable, I didn't feel comfortable with the increase, but it's inevitable. But I also didn't feel comfortable understating that I feel like it's, if we have the positions, we have to go on the assumption that we're going to maintain full staff, because that's the end goal.
For the FICA, did you not make that adjustment? So like the 89,000 was based on full staffing and not?
So the FICA, I went through the present salaries and adjusted it that way. I think it may have been overstated in years past, and we were just really looking at some forecasting, but I'm comfortable with the
Do you
figure of what
include
he's at.
the merit increases
Yes,
for the next year's?
yes. You will note on line 81, the fire department retirement, that will be a conversation for next week. There was an increase there. It's not only based on the New Hampshire retirement contribution for Group 2, but there's also a proposal coming forward for adding 2 full-time positions. So that has been calculated. That's why I said this is very fluid. It's subject to adjustment between now and when we get our first draft of the full budget to you next week. There's still a lot of discussions to be had, and we just, at the select board level, we just heard the last of the department head presentations on Monday. So we're just pulling all of that information together. And
So they're just 6 right now?
what's that?
Are there 6 full-time right now?
Yes.
Are we down to 5?
Yeah, we're down to 5, but there are 6
6
full-time
positions.
positions.
Right, sorry.
Yeah, we just had a member depart a month ago.
Any other questions on personnel?
So I will probably leave this on your agenda to readdress next week, depending on how everything shapes up.
Buildings, that's a good one. You got a whole page, page 5.
All right, buildings. Notable areas, we subcontract the cleaning of this building and the police station. I did go with a new company. It had been, I think I had level funded it in 2025 from the prior year, but just based on what we're presently paying this company to service the buildings 3 days a week, I did increase that because we're obviously gonna go over. I think there was 2 more months of expenditures that have to post to this. Materials and supplies, again, I had kind of carried that forward from my predecessor, and we're doing all of our, we used to have a part-time cleaner that worked here, and she would maintain the supplies that we needed for cleaning and, towels, paper towels, Kleenex, soaps, etc. She was keeping a much bigger inventory than we do. I pretty much can I can place an order and have it here within 3 days, so we keep what we need to make sure that everything is plentiful, and I am more than comfortable then reducing that significantly to kind of offset some of the other areas that are out of our control, like the electricity rates. Trying to think. The town hall electric was one of the other ones that I just wanted to note, line 120. It's budgeted for $1,000. I did increase it to $1,500. We've expended $1,800 to date so far, but the SAU actually reimburses the town 75% of the electric bill, so there is an offsetting revenue.
Ellen, can you go back? I'm sorry, 116, new FS building?
New fire station building, so that's our fire station. It's the fire station.
Okay, just, Because it was I great know.
labeling. So there was a significant amount of expenditures at that building this year. We had some troubles with the doors, the bay doors. So we had several service requests out there for that. They also added a washer and dryer upstairs in the mezzanine, just kind of like a personal use so that they're not using their big industrial, whatever the official term is for the one that gets all the fire equipment clean. So there was some plumbing expenditures to get that washer and dryer hooked up. These were items that we didn't want to pull out of or I kind of left in the operating budget rather than reimbursing them from the expendable trust fund on the
Charlotte,
basis.
would you mind grabbing the door, please?
Who's just gonna do that?
Thank you.
On the basis that we have looming HVAC repairs that need to take place in this building and the library. So I'm trying to make sure that as much is reserved in that fund as possible to address those issues next year. So given the bottom line of the overall government buildings budget, I thought that it was safe to kind of overspend that line where we haven't necessarily spent all of the maintenance lines for other buildings. This is essentially where our general, we'll say like housekeeping comes out of, if we do pest control or if there's any type of alarm or security alarm monitoring. Do you have a question? No, you were just.
Oh, no, sorry, my hand was in the way when I was reading.
So everybody has their own little like nest egg for those things to come out of, and then it's basic minimal items like if a doorknob breaks or, you know, the light switch. So those general small things would come out of these types of budgets.
Okay.
Trying to think.
Could you clarify on 121 the solar invoice?
Yes, okay, so Revision Solar, we have solar both here at the community center and at the fire station. Revision Solar bills us quarterly because it's a lease. We receive a discounted electric supply rate through Eversource, but Revision bills us for like the generation. I'm not 100% sold on how solar works. I'm still trying to wrap my mind around that and learning and growing. So what has happened in the past is they used to invoice us and they wouldn't split out the different locations, so it was all expense to the community center. This year, they decided to give us detailed billing, and we said, oh, great, a portion of this is for the fire station. It should be allocated as such. So there's about, I think it was like $5,000 in invoices that we actually posted to the fire station where it belongs, but it wasn't budgeted because we didn't know before. So I look at that as it's kind of offset by the underspent community center electric, which is line 125.
Yep.
So I put the same note there.
And then is that reduced electric cost from the utility? Is that for all our buildings?
For all town buildings, correct.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Anything else on the buildings?
Nope.
Cemetery?
It was proposed, and actually, I'm sorry about that, the increase didn't flow forward, but $6,500 initially when this budget was kind of plugged in. I did throw a figure of $8,000 in there. There is perpetual care that goes towards some of the maintenance of the cemeteries that comes in as an offsetting revenue, I guess you would call it. It's actually like a reimbursement from the trust funds.
What was the $3,500 overspend? $4,000?
I am going to, I think most of it is for mowing and tree removal. We had a lot of limbs that fell down, so we'd have tree companies come in and clean them up. But that is all technically managed through the cemetery trustees, and I apologize, I don't have somebody here to speak on that.
So all of it comes from the trust funds.
Well, as long as there's perpetual care set up for specific cemeteries.
And then cemeteries that aren't set up for perpetual care that would.
And just, it's the town's responsibility to maintain them. I don't know what the exact amount that we get in offsetting revenue through the perpetual cares, but the mowing is the bulk of the cost. Insurance?
Insurance.
Insurance claims.
Look, nice and cheap. Yay.
Yeah, right.
So, I mean, this is based on a renewal packet that just came in 2 weeks ago. We did have a couple of workers' comps claim. Again, we're in a risk pool management through Primex. It was, a minimal increase. The property liability, on the other hand, that was a significant increase. We have to be thankful for insurance. We did have 3 major claims this year. We had a accident with a police cruiser, which was a total loss. We had the MDT in one of the police cruisers that had a lithium battery fire, and that did significant damage to our brand new police pickup truck. So that was a claim. And then we had the F-550 that had an accident on Flutter Street, and that was a total loss as well. So just, we're thankful that nobody was seriously hurt in any of the accidents, and this is why we have insurance.
Also might be why insurance is now more expensive, but here we are. It's all right. That's why you got it.
And then you'll actually see line 146 is kind of irrelevant to the budget, but this is kind of like the placeholder for where we get some of the insurance claim reimbursement towards those.
So all three came in at the 101 number, or is that all three of the vehicles? It's the 101, okay. It's actually less than I thought it would be. Building department? Sorry, any other questions on insurance?
No.
Building department?
Really no changes, outside of the fact that the police cruiser that was purchased or acquired here in 2025, the select board it's actually on their agenda for the 17th. Early on, they discussed not trading that or selling it as surplus equipment and turning it into a town building, a town vehicle. Its primarily use is going to be for the code enforcement officer, building inspector to go out and do his inspections. It will also be available to town employees to attend trainings. You might remember we had a Ford Explorer that was an old police vehicle that the highway department had. It was just kind of like their parts vehicle, and eventually it just rotted and died. So we never replaced that. So this will essentially be that, but rather than pay our building inspector mileage to use his personal vehicle, this will at least give him an identifiable vehicle that says, hey, it's a town official visiting properties. It kind of takes that extra risk
So
off
that's
the
line
plate.
208 still, even though it's labeled mileage, that's what it reflects.
Correct, so it's going to, instead of mileage, it's going to convert to a vehicle maintenance line because we'll have to do regular oil changes, probably replace tires here and there. So I wanted to allocate something toward that vehicle. It has been completely stripped of all the police equipment so far, and I think I just have to have it kind of like debadged to get all the decals off of it and then put a town seal, something that doesn't make it look like a police cruiser anymore.
Any questions on that?
No.
Animal control looks level funded.
Correct,
General assistance level funded.
correct.
Anybody have any questions on those two specifically?
The only question I had on the general, no, never mind, not on that one.
And I did want to note, I mean, it's the town's requirement to put something in the budget for general assistance. We don't know until the need presents itself, and for the first 2/3 of the year, we had a homeless situation where we actually had to put somebody up in a hotel. So fortunately, we did have money to fall back on. We overspent the budget. We did the best that we could, and fortunately, you know, it's not, we're able to get that individual into a better situation. It just took some time to get there.
Ellen, I had a question too, I forgot to ask previously. The 265 welfare is to pay per diem, I assume,
It's not per diem. She actually gets a stipend. She gets paid at the end of November every year.
right? And how does that differ from 271, a coordinator?
I'm not really sure. There used to be, I think 2 years ago, there used to be a dollar figure assigned to all these individual line items, and then it was the budget committee that decided to consolidate everything. I think maybe general assistance welfare might have just been generally, maybe not necessarily for the director, but as line items got shrunk, it just became welfare and
No, that's fine.
general assistance.
'Cause, yeah, you wouldn't really know from looking at this that we're paying human. Thanks.
Anything else on general assistance? Social services?
And I did not print copies, I thought that was gonna be a lot of pages to include, so you have your PDF copies of all the individual requests that come in. The only one that I'm still waiting on is Seacoast Mental Health. I did put them in as a plug figure for general funding because that's typically what they've been requesting for the past couple of years. I do have an email into them requesting the information. Everybody else has supplied the information. Most of it relevant to Rockingham County, some provided detail about service specifically to Nottingham residents, which is really nice to see. Again, it's close. There was child advocacy for services that pretty much doubled. But outside of that, everybody is requesting about the same amount every year.
Ellen, could you ask them each, some of them gave us the figures for how many people they have serviced in Nottingham. But I think they can provide us with that information. I'd like to know.
I agree. We don't have like a template request form for them to. Some towns do require it. We talked about it at the select board level,
Yes.
about maybe having that be part of the annual renewal process, is giving us the statistical data for, I mean, anybody can request money for services, but whether or not they're actually providing them is the real question.
And we have no clue, except for a few did tell us. But, I question like Lamprey Healthcare. Why are we giving Lamprey Healthcare $4,500? I have no idea what they do. They had a big general, we've improved diabetes. Well, okay, I go to see my doctor, and if I have diabetes, they help me improve. It just, I'm not seeing anything concrete in that report at all.
And they might not be, it could just be a matter of, that service is available to somebody that should need it, but they have to know that it's available to them too, so.
Well, yes,
And you know
but
how I feel, I'd like to see demographics too. I think it would help us in general planning for the future in so many things, what seniors need, what young people need, what services are used. Social service agencies change, they grow, they go out of business. I think every one of these is worthwhile. They're all great. And, it sounds terrible to go, oh, would we not fund any? But I'd like to be more proactive and to know what our town needs and seek.
especially if you have a service over in Manchester, is anybody going over there to use it? I don't know.
Might be, but
Maybe.
we don't know.
Are these so that a resident could reach out to that
Yes.
program, or that program exists anyways and they could reach out to them anyways?
Correct.
It exists.
It exists anyways, it's just a matter of, okay, so like we do provide this service and will you help support our efforts?
It exists anyway because towns help to
Fund
fund
it.
them.
Yeah, no, I
If
understand.
they
Yes,
didn't,
I
then
get
they
that,
wouldn't
but-
necessarily exist, so.
But if it's Rockingham County, then I'm wondering how do they have a formula where they, like, would Nottingham be paying the same as Brentwood, for example? And should we?
Like a
based
per
on-
capita.
Yeah, exactly.
You would think so, but
Yeah,
I mean, that's what development is about, right? You write these, nice things and convince people that you really need them, and they're all really wonderful programs, but with money so tight, we want to
Right,
know that
exactly.
our population, and Rockingham's a big county, and there are a lot of very wealthy towns and much larger towns, so
that
are
was
we,
my point.
we don't know if we're paying proportionally or
That-
not.
that
I
was
mean,
my
we've really
point.
got nothing to base on other than our goodwill and going, yeah, it's a really good
We've always done it.
organization. Although something like,
that's it. We've always
the
done it.
Child Advocacy Center, clearly we know, and I've talked to the police chief about this too, that this is,
Heavily
yeah,
used.
this is really, we should use, but several of them really didn't offer much information that's specific, and I've written those development letters too, and you kind of, we're wonderful, we're here if you need us and stuff, but you want to know other towns, and we don't know what other towns are doing. It should be more proportional, I think, to the
Yeah.
population and the demographics of your particular town.
One of the other questions I had was, is what's the overlap between what they're saying they provide and what our food pantry and rec program
Well,
is providing?
that's a tough situation because, so the rec program is one, but the food pantry is a separate 501c3. That's where it's often confused. Everybody associates because it's within the confines of this building that it's a town organization, but it's very separate.
Sure, but if we know that they're providing that service, like it came to mind because one of them did a detail and food pantry support was
Right.
one of their items.
Yes.
So it's kind of like, even though it's not part of the town, if we know that our food pantry is providing that service to residents of Nottingham, then should we be supporting an outside organization that's doing it?
May not be needed, because
Well, I
again,
think
we
there's
don't have the
plenty of reason
numbers.
to argue that they're not providing all the service that's required.
Fair, that's fair, that's
But
fair.
we just don't know. We have no numbers here to know if
Yeah.
any of our residents are utilizing these services, except for some of them that did provide those numbers, like the child advocacy program.
Yeah.
And there may be some programs that aren't soliciting donations from us, but are really worthwhile too.
Right.
So I just, I just, because I just want Ellen to do more work, right?
Yeah, no, but,
You know, whatever. I
we're at
just like to take a
5%
proactive-
here, and again, I'm looking at what could we cut to get it below the 4%, and questioning if our residents are utilizing these services and have
About
been in the last few
$250.
years. It's still,
$50.
still.
No, I think it's a legitimate concern. I'm telling you, that's the number.
Yeah.
So I think it's pretty reasonable to find that in some of these,
To
especially
keep within
in,
our general budget. yeah.
especially within some of these ones that didn't do a very good job making their case.
Right.
Right. And to Charles' point and Karen's point, let's not do this just because it's what we've always done. Like, let's question and do what's right coming forward.
And it's okay to have an ask and ask them to do a lift too. I mean, some of these organizations, particularly with transportation so difficult in rural towns, could come to us as well. I mean, there are a lot of towns that do, blood pressure clinics, or have the veterans organization come out once a month and,
Yeah.
provide services in your town or provide transportation. We just don't know though, so we just don't have enough. To my mind, we don't have enough information to make good decisions about what's best for our community.
I can put the request out there and see if I can get some
Please
statistical,
do,
some better
and say
statistical
we're
data.
looking at our budget. If we're not confident our residents are using it, then you might not receive your funding.
Yeah, as an example, Lamprey used to do something in the schools for screening, I don't like vision or hearing. Still, I didn't look at the letter, so I don't, but that, they should have included that if they're doing, because they don't charge for
Used to
that.
do the fluoride one. You'd have to put
Yeah, somebody
that
did
gross
the
thing in your
dental.
mouth and you always had to put your heads down because you'd all be giggling at each other.
So I mean, if they're doing that in the school for no costs, they should include that fact.
Right,
Would be a good thing to remind us of.
Yes.
Sweet memories.
Oh, stuff tasted awful. Weird foam, bubble gum.
Better than the drill.
I think that was it.
So that is it for the items I believe we had on the list. Any general,
This is like a giant.
lingering,
I selected the wrong one. It was supposed to be legal, but it came out
I can
ledger.
Oh, it's,
see it.
yeah, it's much better.
Ledger's better. Legal's a goofy size, I'm with you. CIP committee, moving on to committee reports.
So we had another meeting on Monday, made a couple of tweaks, and what's the process of getting the document here?
So we have like one or two tweaks that we have to make to the
Yeah, I
spreadsheet.
saw what looked like a typo after the fact.
Yeah, Ellen, I'm gonna make sure that you have access to that final sheet.
Yep.
Um,
Is it the one that John was editing?
yeah, but we're gonna change that. There's a couple of things we have to update there, and I will update it and label it final.
Okay.
It would be helpful if you just do a quick look, make sure the formulas are all correct and stuff like that. Skip had a comment on the vehicles sheet in there, which I don't see as our purview. It's up to you.
It's a separate tab, I think.
Yeah, it's a separate tab. I'll
Okay.
send that comment to you. So we're gonna finalize that, then we have to do the insert, the
The narrative.
write-up for the narrative for the town report. And so we'll have that, and then
But the spreadsheet would probably be ready to come to the budget committee whenever those final tweaks are, so like potentially for next Thursday.
yeah, we said the 20th though, right?
Yeah, but if we have it ready next.
Yeah, we can do that.
Because when we do the police presentation, it might be helpful to see the
Yeah,
CIP.
we can do that for sure.
So that's the
Is there a few
13th.
items?
Yeah, next week, the 13th.
Yeah, we can have this sheet, and then
And the
we'll
fire
do
too.
the narrative the week after. It's been a good process.
That's it.
Excellent. School facilities, Jeff isn't here.
To me?
Are you're doing the other one, sorry, the
Yes,
school facilities backup, is
I've
that?
gotta find an acronym for this,
You
it's too
haven't
much
heard
for me to.
anything?
FAC,
No.
Yeah, so Jeff did say, just for your education, because he said it last
Facilities
meeting,
Assessment Committee.
I think there was an email that he missed like several months ago or something. So there was one meeting, I think, that happened, but that's been it, so there hasn't been another. But it's not that you're missing emails, I don't think there's been any, but next time we're at when Jeff's here next, we'll just make sure.
Okay.
Wanted to say that before I got silent.
To fact that this evening, actually, I stopped in quickly and then I had another meeting to go to before coming to this one. But we were reviewing our field trip to the police department. There are 5 members and did you get an application for a new member?
Somebody stopped in to grab an application today, and I
Should be getting-
don't know if he showed up and handed it in.
He didn't show up tonight,
Okay.
but a gentleman is interested who has experience in construction and electrical work, so that'll be nice, there'll be 6 of us. Yeah, and so we were just reviewing the police department, the update. We did a field trip there 2.5 years ago, and some of the problems have been resolved, but the overarching message that we're going to send is that we do need to do planning for a new location for the police station. That the biggest problem is it's in an inappropriate location. And, I can go into that at length, or the
Being
chief
coupled
can.
near child-based services is not always appropriate
It's
for a
not
police
great.
department.
It's
Right,
not
that's
great.
sort of the general premise, but yeah.
That is general, right, and, we're looking at, apparently there does exist a plan to have the fire station and police department. I haven't actually seen that
It's right
plan.
in my office. Yes, the committee reviewed it tonight.
Didn't see it tomorrow. I mean, that would be my first thought, is to try to have a safety complex, because I think that's a huge cost savings in so many ways. But to start the process of planning and having a plan and engineering, and if that's still feasible, and start thinking about moving them. I think we need to plan a bit for the future, but I don't think we need the Taj Mahal either. I think we need a functional, there's just a lot of problems with this building, as we know, and its location that really are beyond retrofitting at this point.
Anything new is gonna feel like a Taj Mahal compared to what
This
that
is true. This is
So
true.
when you say safety complex, is that a new building at the location of the fire station?
It would be an addition to the fire station that would contain the police department. And that does seem to be a trend, and from what I've seen in other small rural towns, the few that I'm familiar with, there is a cost savings. Even something as simple as lighting, parking, plowing, maintenance, and having those two, I mean, they so often respond together, communications, the kind
Close
of.
proximity to the school.
Yep, there's a lot of, I think, good things, so that's remained the same, that's still our assessment. There were some, little things that they've tweaked, they're doing the best they can, but it's basically just unsuitable to be a police station. And one of the things is just being able to hold evidence, particularly if it's certain types of drugs, because those can seep into wallboard and go through skin, and things like that we weren't thinking about maybe 20 or 30 years ago. So again, it's not like they need the huge evidence room like you need in New York City or something, but you do need to think about those precautions. So that's really all I've got. I think next we'll be going to the old Grange building and be looking at the Van Dame building, not because they're high priority, but because we have to get into the old Grange before the snow flies, because it becomes almost impossible to get in there. So I think that'll be our next field
And
trip.
what's the other building?
The Van Dame
The school.
Museum right here. the
Okay,
school.
all right, yes.
The old art room, if you care.
The old art room, right, everybody's confused about, which has come a long way for sure, but I think needs some little tweaks and maintenance to keep it up, keep it going. And if you haven't been in there lately, they have done a lot of work. It really is looking quite nice inside. So more to come, and hopefully we'll get to some other important issues soon with our field trips.
Thank you very much.
Thanks,
Ellen.
Ellen.
Have a safe
Safely.
drive.
Yep.
Meeting minutes reviews. 10:30. I didn't catch anything. Doing a quick read through yesterday. Did anybody have anything? Not seeing anything. I would entertain a motion to approve the October 30th, 2025 meeting minutes as presented.
I move that we accept the meeting minutes of the Budget Committee for October 30th, 2025 as written.
Motion by Charlotte, second by Carol. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? No opposed, so it passes whatever number we are, and I already forgot to count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8-0.
Can I make a general comment about minutes?
I suppose this would be the time to do it. What's your general comment about minutes?
Well, I've, like, I know we're using a much more efficient process for creating the minutes, but my concern is that the minutes don't go into enough detail about what's discussed. And it comes down to me, it's like, who are the minutes for? Are the minutes for us, or are the minutes for the people in the town to go back and look at, what's gone on in the meeting? So for example, I'll give one example. If you look under school default budget review 4344, it says he offered background on assorted costs in response to questions from the committee and explained specific line items. So
Which ones?
that doesn't tell people anything.
I was thinking we had so many great discussions too about, the additional buildings and why he didn't want to do that this year. That would have been really helpful, and it just felt like these minutes were really lacking.
So-
And last year, I just felt like.
Last year, we had immensely detailed meeting minutes, which is actually very, very unusual. I will
agree.
say that this is much more the norm. Meeting minutes are only supposed to get the general gist of the meeting. They're not always necessarily meant to be detailed. But I would say the thing that we have going for us that I think is really beneficial is that actually all these are recorded and they're on YouTube now.
That is
So they are free to everybody to watch at any point in time.
I will disagree with you on the statement about detailed minutes, because we have, for any committee that I've been on, there have been detailed minutes. And this is just, I think, the new trend in the last couple of years. So again, it's kind of like,
It might be a newer trend, or maybe it's a larger community trend, because my perspective is primarily working through larger communities, cities principally, but this type of meeting minutes is pretty standard. It's actually what they teach you and train you when you're taking meeting minutes, is to just grab the general highlights of the conversation. It's not supposed to ever have any detail. That being said, that doesn't mean we can't ask for a little more if we didn't want it, or maybe see if there's a little more detail that could be added.
You can even bring AI into it. You know what I mean?
Again, you could
Taught
get
my daughter
AI
tape recorder
transcripts
AI
or
for
whatever.
school.
well, that's what it.
And what it does, it says everything the teacher says, or the professor, right? And it hits the high points, then it says, oh, make me a quiz of it, make me a test, multiple choice, whatever you want. It's like instant.
That's a really good question.
It's
I don't know if anyone knows the answer to this because Ellen left, but do you know if the person doing these minutes are given the documents? Because I think it's extremely challenging if you don't have
Good point.
particularly budget documents to reference.
Yeah. I
And
could see that. That's a good
they
question.
have no idea what we're talking about.
Yeah, we're sitting here saying line 147, why has it got that extra 200 there?
And I will
what does
say,
that mean?
when the school board didn't have someone taking minutes, I often took them live, because I was very well versed in what we were talking
Yeah.
about, so it's
Yeah.
easier to do. If you don't have that familiarity, it's
It's very
extremely
difficult.
challenging.
And we always did, like even for the select board budget committee before, we had somebody who was taking
Yeah,
the
we used to
minutes.
have
And
someone taking
so they were
minutes for us.
there all the time. They got to know things as well.
So I would recommend if Ellen doesn't give the person the documents, it would help them.
I'll follow up with Ellen, ask her, get a little more detail on what's being provided, who's doing the recording, and do we have an ability to ask for a little more detail on
And
these?
certainly when we get to a point of having like the hearings on the budget and we're making suggestions of changes, we need that level of detail.
Exactly.
Yeah, if there's some action that comes out of discussion, that would typically get.
Those always get
captured,
recorded with
and then
much
you
more
have what you
detail,
have,
yeah.
You know, there'd be more detail naturally.
So I just thought I would throw that out there.
Nope, worthwhile discussion, I'll absolutely ask. Any new business?
No.
Nope. Next meeting, next Thursday, doing the continuation of town budget, so police, fire, basically everybody we didn't hit tonight, that'll be wrapping up, and then Ellen, as she mentioned, might have some updates on the insurances and the personnel premium costs as that information's coming in at the moment. I will note that I won't be here on the November 20th meeting. I'm having a surgery on the 19th, but I should be back for the following one because we don't have one the week of Thanksgiving. So it should be all good.
And the select board has gotten a detailed comparison of the different new insurance plans now, and we will be discussing that. So you may wanna kind of tune into that, because I'm not sure what awful decisions we're gonna have to make, but.
I will absolutely watch a YouTube video later.
While you're recovering?
Yes. While I'm stuck in a chair and not able to move my head, it's gonna be great fun. With that, I'd entertain a motion to adjourn.
I move that we adjourn.
Motion by Charlotte, second by Carol. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Meeting is adjourned at 9:05.